There's one uncomfortable truth that almost no doctor tells you after age 60, and it's so important it can completely change the way you understand your health. Walking every day isn't enough to maintain leg strength and ensure your independence. This may sound counterintuitive because for years we've been told that walking is the key to aging well. But here's the problem. While you rely on this habit, your body may be quietly losing the most important ability to maintain autonomy. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever sat down in a chair, tried to stand up, and felt that little hesitation in your body? That moment when you need to lean forward, push off, or use your arms without even thinking. This moment, though seemingly minor, is not normal due to age. It's an early sign that your muscles are losing functional strength, the very strength that actually prevents you from falling. And here's the most alarming thing. Most people don't notice it until it's too late. They continue to walk every day, convinced they're doing everything right, while their balance, stability, and explosive power gradually deteriorate. But today you'll learn something different. Not only will you understand why this happens, but you'll also discover the exact exercise that science has identified as one of the top predictors of independence in real life. A simple, everyday movement that can mean the difference between continuing to cope independently or becoming dependent on others sooner than you think. Walking is undoubtedly one of the most enduring pillars of health at any age. On a physiological level, it stimulates the cardiovascular system, improves insulin sensitivity, promotes circulation, and helps maintain a healthy body weight. In fact, numerous studies have shown that people who walk regularly have a lower risk of heart disease, hypertension, and cognitive decline. But this is where a key nuance emerges, one that is almost never explained. Not all types of physical activity produce the same adaptations in the body. Walking is a cyclical, repetitive movement with low mechanical load, meaning the body quickly adapts and no longer receives sufficient strength development. Simply put, it's great for maintaining what you already have, but not for restoring what you lose over time. And it's this detail that makes the difference between active aging and dependent aging. Because while you're walking, your muscles work within a very limited range, without the requirement for deep stability, without the need to develop power, and without a significant challenge to balance. Beginning at age 60, a phenomenon well documented in the scientific literature called sarcopenia occurs, which involves a progressive loss of muscle mass and quality, particularly of fast-twitch type 2 fibers. These fibers are responsible for generating explosive force, reacting to loss of balance, and stabilizing the body in unexpected situations, such as tripping or abrupt changes in direction. Most alarmingly, these fibers are the first to deteriorate when they are used purposefully. And here's the critical point. Walking doesn't activate them significantly. So a person can walk every day and still experience weakness in the quadriceps, stiffness in the hips, and a gradual decline in the ability to stand up, climb stairs, or maintain balance. This discrepancy between perceived activity and actual ability explains why so many falls occur in seemingly active people. The solution isn't to abandon walking, but to understand its limitations and strategically supplement it with exercises that truly activate functional strength, stability, and muscle power. Only then can you send the right signal to the body to maintain, and in many cases restore, the abilities that truly support your independence. Exercise 1. Chair rise. The chair rise movement, known clinically as the seat to stand, is one of the most reliable and widely used measures for assessing functional capacity in older adults. This is no coincidence. This seemingly simple gesture simultaneously engages multiple systems: the muscular, neuromuscular, articular, and balance systems, and accurately reflects a person's actual level of independence. In fact, tests like the 30-second chair stand test or the 5-time seat to stand are widely used in geriatrics to predict the risk of falls, frailty, and loss of autonomy. The reason is clear. To stand up without assistance, you need to generate sufficient strength in your quadriceps and glutes, stabilize your core, coordinate the forward movement of your center of mass, and maintain balance when transitioning from a sitting to standing position. When any of these components fails, the body seeks compensation, using your arms, pushing off with inertia, or avoiding the movement entirely. And here's the key point that most people don't know. Every time you perform this movement with poor technique or with external assistance, you reinforce this weak pattern. But every time you do it correctly, you train one of the most important movements for your functional survival. So this isn't just an exercise, but a constant assessment of your actual physical state. Performed correctly, this everyday movement turns into an extremely powerful strengthening tool. It all starts with the starting position. Sit on the edge of a stable chair with your feet slightly wider than hip width apart and slightly turned outward, which promotes better hip activation. By crossing your arms over your chest, you eliminate the possibility of using arm momentum, forcing your legs to generate power. Then, by leaning your torso slightly forward, you shift your center of gravity over your base of support, preparing your body for the rise. From here, the goal is clear. Push off the floor with your heels and lift your body in a controlled manner for 2 to 3 seconds without jerking or momentum. Contracting your glutes at the top is no small feat. This action improves full hip extension and strengthens lumbar stability. But the real power is built in the eccentric phase. Lower yourself slowly, taking at least 3 to 5 seconds, controlling every inch of the movement until you softly touch the seat. This controlled descent trains the muscle's braking ability, which is essential for descending stairs or sitting down safely. The most common mistake of simply falling down negates much of the benefit and increases stress on the joints. Starting with 3 sets of 5 reps allows for gradual adaptation, and using a pad to increase the height is a smart strategy for reducing the initial difficulty without compromising technique. The beauty of this exercise is that in a single movement, it activates the quadriceps, glutes, core, and stabilizer muscles, improves intermuscular coordination, and trains dynamic balance. Essentially, it's a complete strength workout hidden within an everyday action, and mastering it can be one of the most decisive factors in maintaining your independence over time. Exercise 2. Seated leg extension. The quadriceps are not only the largest muscle group on the front of the thigh, but also one of the main factors in the functional stability of the entire body. From a biomechanical perspective, their function extends far beyond leg extension. They act as a shock-absorbing system, absorbing shock during walking, stabilizing the knee when standing, and controlling downward movement during everyday movements, such as sitting down, descending stairs, or bending. With age, these muscles experience a significant loss of mass and strength, a process accelerated by a lack of targeted loading, which directly undermines the integrity of the knee joint. Furthermore, numerous studies in geriatrics have shown that weak quadriceps is strongly associated with an increased risk of falls, joint pain, and loss of independence. When this muscle is unable to generate sufficient tension, the knee loses its ability to actively stabilize, forcing other structures, ligaments and tendons, to bear loads they weren't designed for, increasing wear and tear and a feeling of insecurity during movement. And here's the critical point. Walking, while it does engage the quadriceps, does so through a limited range and without sufficient intensity to truly improve strength. Therefore, many people who walk daily still experience weakness when standing up or uncertainty when descending a slope. Seated leg extensions are a direct and highly effective intervention for reversing this deterioration, as they isolate the quadriceps and force them to work through their full range of motion under control. Technique determines their effectiveness. By leaning back slightly while seated, you activate your core and stabilize your pelvis. Straightening your leg until it's parallel to the floor brings your quadriceps to the point of maximal contraction, and holding this position for 3 to 5 seconds creates isometric tension that engages muscle fibers that typically remain inactive during everyday movements. This type of sustained contraction has been shown to be particularly effective in improving neuromuscular communication, that is, the brain's ability to effectively activate a muscle in real-world situations. But the real progress happens in the eccentric phase. Slowly lowering your leg for at least 3 seconds creates a high-quality stimulus that deeply strengthens the muscle and improves its braking ability, essential for preventing falls. Performing 10 to 12 repetitions on each leg consistently not only increases strength, but also improves joint stability and confidence in movement. It's at this stage that many people begin to notice noticeable changes. Standing up ceases to be an effort and becomes a natural movement once again. And it's when you begin to regain this basic strength that you're ready to take the step toward the most important exercise of all, the one that combines everything listed above into a single functional movement and, with astonishing accuracy, determines your true level of independence. Exercise 3. Seated march. Loss of hip mobility doesn't happen suddenly. It's a progressive and subtle process that often goes unnoticed until it begins to affect gait. Biomechanically, the hip joint is one of the most important in the human body, as it connects the torso to the legs and serves as the central axis for stability, coordination, and movement generation. However, over time and with a decrease in adequate stimuli, the muscles responsible for hip flexion, primarily the iliopsoas and rectus femoris, begin to weaken and shorten. This has direct consequences for gait. Strides become shorter, feet rise less from the floor, and the risk of dragging significantly increases, increasing the likelihood of tripping. Studies in the elderly have shown that lower hip flexion range is directly associated with a higher risk of falls, even in people who consider themselves active. The problem is that walking, while beneficial, does not require full range of motion in this joint, as a normal gait utilizes only a portion of the total hip flexor capacity. This leads to the body forgetting how to move with full range of motion and control over time, which impairs both mobility and stability. This is where the seated march becomes an extremely effective and, at the same time, underrated tool. This exercise not only reactivates the hip flexors in a controlled environment, but also improves neuromuscular coordination and the ability to lift the feet accurately, which is critical for preventing trips in everyday life. Proper execution is crucial. Sit on the edge of a chair, keep your back straight, and lift one knee toward your chest as high as possible, while maintaining dorsiflexion of your foot, that is, with your toes pointing toward your shin. This technical detail is no small feat, as it also activates the hip muscles and improves foot control during the swing phase of gait. By rhythmically and controlled alternating legs, you create a movement pattern that mimics walking, but with greater range of motion and muscle activation. Performing 20 repetitions on each leg not only strengthens the involved muscles, but also retrains the nervous system to perform the movement more safely and efficiently. Furthermore, recent research has shown that such exercises can improve hip flexibility within a few weeks, increasing range of motion and reducing joint stiffness. Incorporating seated marching into your daily routine will not only help you walk better, but can also be one of the most effective interventions for restoring confidence in your steps and significantly reducing the risk of falls. Exercise 4. Seated calf raises. The so-called second heart is not an exaggerated metaphor, but a physiological concept supported by decades of hemodynamic research. The calf muscles, particularly the soleus and gastrocnemius, play a key role in venous return, the process by which blood returns to the heart from the lower extremities. Unlike the arterial system, which relies on pressure generated by the heart, the venous system relies heavily on muscular contractions to overcome gravity. Every time you activate your calves, they compress the deep veins of the legs and push blood upward, preventing it from pooling in the ankles and feet. This mechanism is especially important in older people, where the efficiency of venous return decreases, contributing to swelling, a feeling of heaviness, coldness in the extremities, and even increasing the risk of venous insufficiency. Research published in journals such as the European Journal of Herpylate Physiology has shown that repeated contractions of the condyloid muscle while seated can significantly increase blood flow, improving tissue oxygenation and reducing venous congestion. But the interesting thing is that these benefits aren't limited to circulation. By repeatedly activating this muscle, you also stimulate the neuromuscular connections necessary for balance and stability when walking or changing positions. Now, what makes seated calf raises especially powerful is not only their simplicity, but also their ability to target multiple systems when performed correctly. The key is technique. Sit up straight with both feet firmly on the floor. Slowly raise your heels until you achieve maximum contraction. Hold this position for at least 2 seconds to ensure full muscle fiber activation, and then lower in a controlled manner for another 2 or 3 seconds. This eccentric phase, the slow lowering, has been shown to be particularly effective for improving muscle strength and local endurance, as it creates greater mechanical tension in the fibers. Performing 15 to 20 repetitions not only activates circulation, but also improves muscular endurance in the calf muscles, which is key for maintaining stability during prolonged standing or when responding to minor imbalances. Furthermore, this exercise has a strategic advantage. It can be performed anywhere without impact on the joints and without risk, making it an ideal tool for those with limited mobility or in the initial stages of physical rehabilitation. Consistently incorporating it into your daily routine will not only alleviate symptoms like heavy legs, but also build a solid foundation for more complex movements that truly define your functional independence. Walking remains one of the best decisions you can make for your overall health. But it's crucial to understand its limitations if you truly want to protect your independence in the long term. Scientifically, Physical autonomy depends not only on cardiovascular endurance, but also on the ability of the neuromuscular system to generate force, respond to unexpected stimuli, and maintain stability in real-life situations. This is where the key concept of healthy aging, functional capacity, comes into play. It's measured not by how many steps you take per day, but by how well you can stand up, turn, stop, maintain balance, and control your own weight. Research in exercise physiology and geriatrics has shown that programs that combine strength, eccentric control, and functional pattern training have a significantly greater impact on fall prevention than aerobic activity alone. This is because they strengthen connections between the brain and muscles, improve intermuscular coordination, and restore rapid reaction time, precisely what's needed when you lose your balance. In other words, it's not just about moving more, but about moving better and more mindfully. And the most powerful thing about all of this is that the human body retains the ability to adapt even in old age. With the right stimulus, it can form new neural connections, increase muscle strength, and improve stability in just a few weeks. The real advantage is that you don't need access to a gym, complicated machines, or complex programs to achieve this. Current evidence confirms that simple exercises, performed correctly and regularly, can lead to profound improvements in strength, balance, and movement confidence. Movements like calf raises, seated marches, leg extensions, and especially chair rises directly impact the systems that determine your true independence. All it takes is commitment and precision, understanding that every repetition is a signal you're sending your body to recover, strengthen, and protect itself. It doesn't matter whether you're starting out struggling or need to adapt your exercises. It's important to start and maintain the process because every day you exercise correctly, you reduce your risk of falls, improve your mobility, and increase your ability to continue living life on your terms. This isn't just an exercise approach, it's a strategy for maintaining quality of life. If this type of content benefits you and you want to continue learning how to stay strong, mobile, and independent over time, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and become part of this community focused on smart aging. Now, I want you to stop for a moment and try it yourself. Can you get out of a chair without using your hands and with complete control? Write it in the comments, because this answer may say much more about your physical future than you realize. Your body and your health will thank you. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you soon.